those out.
I got those. Thank you.
8.2.
Thank you.
There. You have your cell phone?
They're on.
Well, thanks,
Well, they
everyone. Thanks, Mr. Chair. What I've handed out to you is, it's a PowerPoint deck that I just, put into print so we can all follow along real quickly. My name's Mike Beam. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm, part of a 3-firm litigation group, in what's called multi-district litigation. And so multi-district litigation is somewhat similar to a class action, except the main difference is every plaintiff is affected differently in multi-district litigation, whereas class action, we all are affected the same way. Everyone might remember the Columbia House Record Club, if we're all around the same age. And they had a class action back then where I think everyone received about $2 a piece because they were charging us too much to send us the records that we got back in the 70s and 80s. So, but the difference here is with multi-district litigation, we are pursuing the 3 main manufacturers of insulin, and then the 3 pharmacy benefits managers, and they've colluded in prices, for quite some time now. And what we've seen is this litigation, it all occurs in the same court, and it's in the federal court of New Jersey, and the case opened last fall, and we represent several municipalities in the state of Michigan with regard to this. And so already we filed, we're filing suit this week with respect to the city of Grand Rapids, the city of Detroit, Genesee County, Saginaw, we're meeting with Saginaw County in the next few weeks, Livingston County, several of the counties in the state of Michigan. And what we found is, like Midland County having employees and retirees who are, of the county, they receive medical benefits, and anyone who receives insulin, be it an employee or a retiree, so someone who has diabetes, about 12.5% of the population in Michigan, if you can believe it, has diabetes, and so this is quite prevalent. And what we found that you can see in the handout is there's been price fixing between the 3 manufacturers, Eli Lilly, Aventis, Novo Nordisk, and the 3 what we call PBMs, pharmaceutical benefit managers. That's Express Scripts, Optum, and CVS. And toward the back of my handout, they have had lockstep price hikes since the late 90s. And so they get together, it's almost like OPEC back in the day when they would fix the price of oil. And since the late 90s, since about 2000, the price has risen over 1,500%. Insulin is not new. There's no new and improved insulin. Insulin was discovered by 2 scientists at the University of Toronto because they thought it would be so helpful to those of us with diabetes. They never asked to be compensated for it. The insulin that diabetics use today is still the same insulin. So there's no proprietary benefit. It's not like they're back in the lab making new and improved insulin. It's never been improved upon. It's just what it is. And so it helps those of us who can't make insulin ourselves. So what we found is in this price gouging, it has cost municipalities like Midland County hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year, and we're pursuing 5 main counts. It's an antitrust claim. It's also violative of the Michigan antitrust laws, the Michigan Consumer Protection Act, and it's also a RICO action on behalf of these defendants. And so I talked with Mr. Smith about coming up and presenting to you about this. We have, and with regard to this, we believe that it makes sense. I can answer any questions you might have. Sure.
Yeah, if we're talking about price gouging, is this the pharmaceutical company's fault, or does the FDA allow it? And is it the FDA, whose back should this be on? The companies that are they doing something illegal, I guess is my question, or are they not?
Well, the difference between criminal liability and civil liability, there's a difference there. The FDA approves medicines to help people, so this wouldn't be a claim where there's anything wrong with insulin. So it's not like the FDA approved it and there was something wrong with it. So really, this is price fixing between the three largest manufacturers and the three largest benefits managers. And so they've gotten together, and as you can see over the years, it's just, stratospheric how it's gone up, that you can see. And so with regard to civil liability, we believe that they are civilly liable. So it would be for the damages that Midland County has incurred, and we can go back 6 years. That's the statute of limitations that we sometimes hear about. And so the statute of limitations allows us to go back 6 years. And the important questions would be a couple of things. What company, well, first of all, does Midland County use a third-party administrator, a pharmacy benefits manager? And, those are all things that, we can figure out together. And then if that is there, that third-party administrator, do they provide benefits to employees and retirees? Some counties actually use a different benefits manager for the employees and a different benefits manager for the retirees. So everyone's a little different. And so we would want to look into that, but we're pursuing these claims and believe they have a ton of national interest right now. We also represented 62 of the counties in the state with regard to opioid litigation. The one difference here is with the opioid litigation, the funds that were recovered had to be used for mitigation with regard to the opioid epidemic. And so sometimes it can be a little difficult because you think, okay, how many, do we need a drug court, different ways to use this. In the insulin price gouging litigation, any money received by the county, you can use it for anything. So it wouldn't have to be curtailed to one small area. So that's one benefit. Then what we are doing is we pursue these claims on a contingent fee. It's the same fee. We charge 30%. A lot of times you hear people charging 1/3, 33 1/3%. We're just charging the 30%, the same that we use in the opioid litigation efforts. And this, the case is out of, like I said, federal court in New Jersey. They just use one court across the nation, so everyone brings a claim in the same court. Any other questions or anything?
Just some observations, from the previous opioid settlement case. Midland County, because of the success of that case, is getting some funds to help offset costs here of expenses that are related, to opioid addiction, particularly, very specifically for rehabilitation, right, and prevention. The spirit of the settlement case, the settlement funds is not to be used for punitive, so not to prosecute people who have addiction to opioid, but to help them recover. I will, just as so you are aware of the facts, because we were not a party to that case, we are receiving a significantly lower amount in settlement funds because we did not sign on it. Plenty of my counterparts in the state of Michigan are already doing this. I just had a conversation last week with the administrator in Monroe County. I think they're using a different firm, Mike, but
Monroe County's using the Miller Law Firm,
yeah, okay.
who we are pursuing these cases
Partnering,
together.
okay. And there are others, I just know that, I just had this conversation with Mike last week, Mike was on it last week from Monroe, with some information on, conversations about why they thought it was the right decision. They were also party though to the opioid case, so the amount of money they're receiving is really significant. So, so that you're aware of what's happening with with our counterparts in the state of Michigan, I thought I would mention that, so.
And we're still early, so other counties are still coming on board. I talked to Isabella County tonight, Livingston County signed up last week, Genesee County signed up a few weeks ago. I talked with, Saginaw County, I think in 2 weeks. And so they're, and then, Oakland County is signed up, Wayne County has, and so is the city of Detroit. You might ask if those sound like larger counties, they are, and the main reason being, not to pick on Benzie County, but Benzie County is a little county. They don't have enough people to make this worthwhile pursuing, and so yeah, you need to be a county of certain size. Yes, Bill.
Mike, the nature of my question is just that we're looking at both retirees for retiree healthcare and current employees who
Yes.
may be using insulin.
Yes.
The majority, I assume, would be retirees.
No, not necessarily.
It's remarkable how it's changed over the years, where that used to be the case, and now, there's definitely been an uptick with people who are diabetic.
So the statute of limitation of 6 years starts as of the day you sign on, or is it the day you file the lawsuit?
The day we file the law, they'll be very close because we're ready to go, but the day we file the lawsuit.
We won't know from Midland's situation until some research is done as to the number of people and the amount of insulin involved.
Right. But it is, it's appreciable. The recoveries won't be as large as the opioid recoveries, but the other side of it is we can go back 6 years and they're unrestricted as to what the board could, use the money for.
I have a question or a comment. My question is, you said that the cost to the law firm is around 30%. Is that something that that would cost the county money on the front end, or is it if you win, it gets taken out of that money?
Think of all those commercials that you've seen on TV, it's the same thing. And
Okay.
so, it would only if there's a recovery, would there be a fee. And the fee would be 30% of what's recovered. If there is no recovery, there would be no fee. And with regard to the costs, Commissioner, with regard to pursuing the case, those would be split proportionally among the clients, and only reimbursed after the case is completed.
Can you refresh my memory, was the opioid case, was that civil also?
It was.
It was.
Yep, it was out of the Northern District of Ohio.
Commissioner Smith?
I just wanted to add my comment real quick. So in my other job, I'm a social worker in the ICU, and in the ICU I work at, we typically have, we have 18 beds, and any given time, between 3 and 5 are always full of people who are in DKA, which is diabetic ketoacidosis, which happen, and if you talk to them, as a social worker, part of my job is to talk to them and see what happened, and 95% of the time it's, well, I was trying to ration my insulin, or I couldn't afford my insulin till payday, and I was trying to go 3 days without it, or or I just plain couldn't afford it, it was buy my insulin or pay rent. And so I just wanted just to highlight that it has a real effect on people's lives, and young people as well, you know, real effects on, they're losing their jobs because they're in the hospital, or they are potentially dying, that's happened as well. But it is a real effect on people.
Thanks for your work, but it is, what you see is true, and a lot of people are, because it's become so expensive, you see them, you know, making these impossible decisions. And so, ketoacidosis causes organ failure, and then, you know, people pass away.
Assuming the commissioners consider your proposal, Mike, and want to go forward, what would be the next step?
The next step would be, Bridget and I, we would talk and figure out those, you know, those 4 questions that I had about, you know, who the benefits managers are. We can get that, you know, within a matter of, you know, minutes.
Bridget usually has that information
Yeah,
up.
and then with that, we're ready to, you know, pursue the litigation. But it is, or we have, you know, as a fellow attorney, if you saw the complaint, you'd shake your head. It has about 200 paragraphs in it, so
Sure.
it is a weighty complaint. But we think this will be, you know, really positive.
So a simple resolution to go
Right.
forward, and then cooperation from within.
Yes, and then I will, anytime the board members want to come up, I'm always more than happy to come up and present, give you an update. I'd be in constant contact, you know, with everyone here, keeping everyone up to date. But any questions or anything you need, I'm always happy to come up.
Commissioner Bowen has a question.
Yes.
Yes, oh, I almost forgot the question. So,
He had a
I
question.
know we have no settlement now or anything along that lines, but in a perfect world, do you have any idea what maybe a county like Midland County could possibly have, any range of what the settlement, you know, I know it's
Right.
crystal ball, but,
Not knowing the numbers, Commissioner, I
Okay.
don't,
okay,
but as soon as we figure out the numbers, I can, get you a ballpark.
okay, yeah,
And it's sort of the simple, not simple, but the math of this many people, who were, you know, who were the pharmacy benefit managers over the last years, and so we could ballpark it pretty quick.
okay, that's great,
And I'd be glad to do it.
thank you.
Councilor Smith.
Yeah, Mike again. So, if the county were to join the litigation, will you be a named plaintiff, correct?
Yes.
Can you explain to the board the difference between being a named plaintiff and being a non-named beneficiary of any settlement?
Yes, and I don't know, unlike the opioid litigation, I don't know if there will be unnamed beneficiaries like there were in the opioid litigation. The reason why there were in the opioid litigation is the state of Michigan, was a named plaintiff. And so that's why there were unnamed beneficiaries. Here so far, I have not seen the state, the AG, the Attorney General's office, express an interest. They might, but it would come later. And what they do in multi-district litigation is, you know, like was mentioned earlier, is there are incentives to being part of the litigation. In the opioid litigation, it was also tiered as to when the municipality went into the litigation. And so there was, it was a few percentage points for if you went in 2017, 2018, 2019, along those lines. And then the state came along later, and as when you're not part of the litigation, in the opioid litigation, for example, you have no say, you know, with, as to what's occurring. And so by being a named plaintiff, you would have say, and then also in multi-district litigation, because there are so many potential people involved, potential plaintiffs involved, like in the opioid litigation, I think it ended up with 2,500 municipal plaintiffs across the country. You can't have a meeting with 2,500 attorneys. Can't think of anything worse, frankly. But so there's an executive committee that sort of speaks on behalf of everyone, and our team has been on these executive committees over the last 5 years in every MDL that we've pursued. And so, to Mr. Smith's point, you would definitely have a say in the litigation.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
I just would have one, is there a time frame here?
It's the sooner the better, but if it's within, the next, I don't know when if the board needs to meet again, to put a resolution forward, that's absolutely fine, to do that. But if we were able to pursue the claim by, within 4 weeks to 6 weeks,
Take this
that would
in
be
there.
most preferable. Anything else? Okay, and if anything comes up, feel free to give me a call, I'm glad to discuss. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. So I, had passed around at least one handout. This is the other one I'm gonna pass around, and just, did you print out that guy from, the blue?
Not,
Okay.
is at home.
Okay, this book I got at the NACO conference, last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever I was there. This is a children's book that NACO has created through the use of AI. And, they're gonna be distributing them, I can get more copies, I think they're gonna send them to libraries. It's really an educational tool to teach young people and even adults about county government, because county government is clearly the least known and understood of all governments, because we are not providing direct resources or services to the public every day, like the local units, like no trash goes out, no water, no. So, one of the things that they pointed out, because, there's a real movement, to explore utilizing AI even more in government. And one of our main sessions was on that, and that is, it's not perfect, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So when you get a minute, when have the book in your hands, if you look at there are several picked images of women that are dressed in men's suits. And so the AI, every time, even though there was a reference to a female, they were dressed in men's suits, because the assumption is they're all men working in local government. So most of those instances were intentionally taken out and fixed. Some were left in to demonstrate just that point that AI is not perfect, right? It's flawed. So these are they're great books. They rhyme, so they're fun to read and fun to hear for the kids, but that's just one publication. I think they're selling those for like $5.
I was gonna say, are they for sale?
Yes, I can get us some more, cause it'd be great for commissioners, and even like the townships to have a copy, so they can, and the schools. The other publication is really a history, of counties. It doesn't have pictures, it's not a picture book, it's not nearly as fun to read, it doesn't rhyme, it's not a haiku or poetry or anything like that, but it's a good document. I only grabbed one, cause I don't know how many of you travel a lot, but paper is heavy, and I didn't want a bunch of extra paper in my bags. But there's a digital version that I sent to Jessica, and she's gonna print it out. I can also order some more from NACO, so you have them. It's great, I think, as a resource for commissioners, whether you're on the board or you're thinking about running for a commissioner's position, to have that as a resource. Again, we can print it out and put it in a binder, so there's at least one in the commissioner's office. I have one upstairs that I'd like to hang on to though, so, but we'll get you some more. Mark?
Is there any way we could, put a link on our website? So
Yes.
that would probably be good for,
Yeah, we absolutely can, yeah, cause it's a PDF, Mark, that
Yep,
I can just,
absolutely.
that we can download, so yeah, that's a great idea. But again, there were a lot of resources at the conference, you know, some didn't necessarily apply to us, but, I think that there was certainly a lot that, I took away. One of the other things that, I will be maybe bringing to you are, the business side of NACO is called NACO Edge, and they have different tools, services that we can purchase. You know, one of the things that's, and I've got a conversation set up this week to talk more with Tim Brown at NACO Edge about this, what I would consider to be a benefit. I don't know what the cost is yet, but, you know, one of the ways that we can attract and retain employees in local government is with student debt relief. So if you have student loans and you work here for at least 10 years as a local government employee, you can get some or all of your student debt relief. It's prorated, I believe, based on a number of years. On top of that, there are at least 50 other debt relief programs that are income driven, and they have developed a tool to help your employees and parents who have taken out Parent Plus loans for their children can also have some of that debt waived or relieved as local government employees. But the tool is actually to help employees get it filled out properly, because a lot of applications are rejected because they're not filled out properly. I get requests to sign these on a regular basis from employees, so this is something I think that would really benefit us. Not long ago, when I went to, one of the ICMA regional conferences, NACO and Mission Square actually has a research, branch. Mission Square is the company that is part of ICMA, International City County Managers Association. Mission Square is the company we use for our defined contribution plan for all of our hires who are not in the benefit or in the pension anymore. They have a research side of their business, and they put out a lot of studies. One of them was on employee engagement and what they are looking for in employment, particularly in local government. And one of the suggestions that I took away from that conference last year was that in our job advertisements, we should include that one of the benefits people get from coming to work here is that they would eventually qualify for student debt relief. So it really is a marketing tool, because you don't get it everywhere, right? It may not seem like a lot, but for people who have significant amounts of student debt, it certainly can be. So I just wanted to bring those things to your attention. If you have any other questions about any of that, and when I have more information, I may be bringing that to y'all. And then I will, get into the rest of this report if you have any other questions. Okay. This building, the plans for renovating or remodeling the second and third floors are pretty much done. We have to have an updated architectural plan for the third floor, and we have to have an inspection yet. In the budget, we had approved new furniture for the courthouse, which, was kind of a long time coming, and is smiling up there. Wade, one of our, facilities crew, Wade Lamlin, he kind of took that, he's the lead on that project. It's included working on the weekends and in the evenings, and he has done a spectacular job. So if you happen to bump into him or you see Kevin or anybody else, I'm sure he would appreciate the kudos. As of last Friday, we had 180 inmates in the jail, 113 were ours and 65 were federal marshals, 2 were parole detainees. In the Juvenile Justice Center, the metal detector in day treatment or Monarch Academy is up and running. City Hall had their first city council meeting in their newly renovated chambers last night, so I don't believe they'll have a need for using our room anymore. I'm sure, I mean, I know they were very grateful and appreciated being able to do that, so, in the event we ever need to do the same thing, and I'm sure they'd be happy to comply. Pinecrest has about 51 people, with some people on their waiting list. You know, one of the things that I wanna mention is that when it looks like we have discharged, when we've discharged 4 people, they're appropriately being discharged to more skilled facilities, right? Now, in this, admitted 2 and 4 discharged, I know 2 passed away, but 2 were also, moved on to more skilled nursing, which is what we want. We don't want folks who require a lot more care in our facility, because that's not what we do. Like, we expect our residents to be ambulatory, right? We don't wanna have to do a lot of assist as far as, moving people in and out of beds and wheelchairs. Community corrections, if you look, number 10, I sent around that photo that Marissa shared, days ago, because she's on the Community Corrections Advisory Board, but the Skills for Tomorrow Community Construct Group is a nonprofit with the recovery coaches and the lead, particularly, Greg, Yamser is the lead, and I think I've mentioned that I'm on the Community Construct Board. The whole goal of this program is to provide construction opportunities for people who are in recovery, in a work site where there are not substances, because that's very common. And this program has done so well, it is being considered as a model for other communities. And Marissa was asked to come down to the state and give testimony, and she claims she didn't want to because she's not very good at public speaking, and that's not really true. But it is certainly a more powerful story to hear from the people directly, the recovery coaches and the participants, as to the benefit of this program. And it was very exciting because they gave testimony in front of Heidi Washington, who is the director of the Department of Corrections and who reports directly to the governor. So for them, it was a very exciting time, and Marissa said they did a fantastic job, and particularly, kudos to them, because these guys are not people who wanna stand up in front of people in a government office or building and talk. So I'm grateful that they did that, because it's important to tell that story. Emergency management, the hazard mitigation plan has been posted and is, bless you, and is available, the public comment period is open. So it's on the website. Jennifer will be here in front of the board, I think at the first board meeting in March, to talk about this, and have, there'll be public hearing then too, right? So, there'll be time for that. Under finance budget administration, just wanna give you a heads up, last year you signed a letter of support in conjunction with the city to, apply for a grant through the Department of Transportation to do a study of our transportation systems here in Midland County. And I'm on that focus group with the consultant that we've chosen. We've met a couple times. It seems to be going well. No idea where this is gonna land, but, you have a group of committed people from the city, from County Connection, a couple other organizations, and I think it'll be, I think this is gonna be a process that certainly we need in Midland County, related to transportation. It's one of the biggest topics of concern and frustration for a lot of folks, so, keep you updated on that. I like to make sure that you hear about, when our folks get asked to present places, because it really is testimony to what we're doing here. If you go to mosquito control number 7, Carl has been invited to be a speaker on March 18th here in Michigan. A couple different groups get together, but Michigan State Medical Society, and really his talk is about malaria and the role of mosquitoes that we always try and push out to the public is that although mosquito control is nice because those pesky little buggers are pesky, they also carry disease, right? So it's really a health related issue. It's really important since we live in a valley and we have such a high mosquito population that this program continue for health reasons, public health reasons, not just pesky reasons. MSU Extension, they are busy this time of year. A lot of community nutrition programs. I know he is already starting the planning for day camp and overnight camp that happens at Camp Neon in June. Keep you posted on that. I think the MSU, is that in April? Did we decide April that they're gonna be doing a presentation? I'm gonna have, they've requested to come and do a presentation in front of the board, just an update, cause they haven't done one, I don't think, since pre-COVID, on the things that are happening with 4-H and MSU Extension. I think it might be in April, April 16th, I believe. As far as parks go, flood related, the easement that you approved with consumers, that project is underway and, electrical installation is currently happening right now for Sanford Lake Park. Public guardian, I just wanna, we got a little bit of time, I just wanna tell you a quick story. The week that we had, was in January, the week that we had the horrible storm on a Friday, started in the middle of the day. The day before that, Thursday afternoon, I had been at a meeting, came back, and there was a gentleman wandering in the hallway. He was looking for one of the ladies in MSU Extension who he had an interaction with before, and I told him that they were closed. He was actually without a home and looking for a place to stay because the weather was going to be so horrible coming up. And I asked him to just have a seat in the break room and I would try and see what I could do. So I called down and talked with Lori in the public guardian's office, and she had already spoken with this gentleman, and he had already been a guest at Open Door, and I don't know what the rules are there, but he wasn't a Midland County resident. I'm not sure where he is a resident of. But they had given him the opportunity, they gave him actually transportation, I believe, to the Mission in Saginaw the day before. He was supposed to have an appointment with our public guardian that Thursday morning, but because of trying to get back from the Saginaw Mission, and the closest drop off was the Salvation Army, and now I have a little more history about this gentleman. I think he's hitchhiked very long distances, so I don't think he had to walk from the Salvation Army to our building in the cold. He probably got a ride somehow, but he missed that appointment with Steve. And so Lori set up another appointment for him on Friday morning. What he indicated to me was that he was really just looking for a place to stay that night with the weather. And so between Lori, Enzer, and I, we made a lot of phone calls. The traditional paths, we left messages and didn't get calls back. So I took a little less traditional path and managed to get him a room for 2 nights at the Spring Hill Suites. And he, Lori, when I reached out to Lori and told her that I was gonna let him know that, she got him scheduled with Dial-A-Ride so he could get a ride out there, a ride back the next morning to meet with Steve. And she gave him she brought up some Meijer gift cards that they had donated because he only had with him, like a grocery sack of the toiletries and stuff that they had given him at the Saginaw Mission. So, he really looked like he could use a place to stay and a shower and everything. And, it probably took 2 hours for us to get all that ironed out, and, when I walked into the break room and told him that I was getting ready to tell him that we found him a place to stay. Cause I was more concerned about Friday night than Thursday night, considering the weather was supposed to be bad on Friday. The first thing he did was apologize for taking up so much of my time. And then I said, well, we have a place for you to stay at Spring Hill Suites. I can't stay there, it's too expensive. And I said, it's already been covered and we'll get you a ride. So Lori managed all that. Very grateful for this community and how they step up to help people. And even more to the point, I didn't know where he was going to stay the nights after that. But he did meet with Steve on Friday morning. And Steve petitioned to be his guardian and conservator. And Lori reached out to one of their other clients to see if he could stay with him until we had a better option. This gentleman, thanks to a lot of hard work with the Public Guardian's Office in Pinecrest, is now our newest resident at Pinecrest.
Is he
He
really?
is, yeah.
Did this just happen? 'Cause
It was in January.
Okay, I think it was the day after, this Pinecrest was last Thursday, they didn't mention this.
Yeah, I don't know that they brought it up, but it's a story that needs to be told because it really is a group effort. You know, a lot of the folks that walk through these doors really cross through, there's a lot of crossover with different departments and that is what Pinecrest is for, right? So, everything is working the way it's supposed to. Now, it's not my job to try and find someone a place to stay, but I just felt like I was put in that spot at the right time for a reason. So, I just really wanted you to know that. Shout out if you get a chance to the Public Guardian's Office and also to Pinecrest. And really, the kindness of someone who already needs help, being actually excited for this gentleman to come stay with him. Lori said his response was, oh yes, he can stay, I'll make a spot for him right now. So, it worked out. But that is the kind of thing that, we don't get to talk about much with the Public Guardian's Office, because there's a lot of, privacy issues, and I've been careful not to mention his name. But I really wanted you all to hear about that. The Veterans Office, that position has been advertised for the Veteran Service Officer, and I've gotten quite a few applications. Ross has been willing to come back and help out part-time, which I'm very grateful for. And I really want to give a shout out to Bruce Lee Hernandez, who is the other person working up there for helping step up during the time that we've had a vacancy. So that's it for me, unless someone has questions.
Yes, as you know, the executive committee activity summary is for the month of January. It doesn't reflect current activity, but I will tell you that for the most part in January, time was spent in preparation for the events of February 6th, at which you were all participating, and I'm fully aware. I know that Commissioner DeWilliger asked me this morning about the appeal. At this time, I talked with Ann about it, and there is no appeal at this point. It is anticipated, and apparently it was in the newspaper yesterday, but as far as I know, this moment, it has not been filed. So
That's correct.
yes, so we will see what happens. That looks like it will have a lot of plaintiffs, and hopefully it'll be a number of plaintiffs with one attorney representing all of them, which would be much more efficient judicially and better for everybody involved, I think. Probably would be challenging the formula, would be my guess at this point, just guess. So that activity will continue. I think we're not done with it yet. The huge stride was made on the 6th, and you all were there to experience it. I know it wasn't pleasant, particularly for Mark, because you were more or less the lead person at that meeting, and you had to deal with the brunt of folks who were unhappy with the situation. But it seems to be at this point, we're getting down to the nub ends, and hopefully it'll be over in the next few months. So other matters I've been involved with, working with Jess on FOIA issues. We have a Pinecrest issue we're working on regarding the trust fund and trying to get that squared away and changed so it's more efficient. We've been working with the health department on a subpoena And, with, the public guardian on a transfer of property and also with, a recovery from the Midland County Housing Commission, which some of you may never have heard of before, but it was active for a number of years, and a lot of mortgages were put forth and were recorded for individuals who borrowed money at zero interest rates, with usually an obligation to repay upon sale of the property or death. And we happen to be involved in one of those now in an estate, and looks like we're going to recover it is relatively small amount of mortgage. That'll take care of that. That's about all.
Any questions for our attorney? Hearing none. Thank you. Commissioner updates on boards and commissions. Let's start with Commissioner Tallulah.
I would say that for most of January, I was away, and the latter part of January regrettably brought a nice prize of COVID back, so then I missed out on another week or week and a half of work, but I'm, feeling much, much better now. I did attend last Monday the Ingersoll Township meeting and Mount Healy meetings. Ingersoll was business as usual, I would say. With regard to Mount Healy, there is some concern with a drain that is going to have a significant amount of work, drain 15. There was quite a bit of dialogue on that, and I believe that I will probably go up and talk to our drain commissioner about that. Also, I attended recovery court, and I was gonna bring up the skills for tomorrow that Bridget brought up. I promised Judge Beal that I would do that, so that I would share all of with you. And for the group that did go down and present to the director of the Department of Corrections, such a big deal. It's such a positive thing too for our county to be represented by these folks, as Bridget said, you know, they're not public speakers, but they had worked on it and practiced, and I'm so proud of them. Pinecrest and Senior Services. Actually, I was gonna mention, for Senior Services yesterday that I went to, I'm not sure, Bridget, if you've heard of Salesforce software? So they're just starting to implement that. It's pretty magical, all of the information that it just goes laterally and yeah, it was, I believe that United Way is using it in
Not
cancer
anymore.
service, not? There's some catches in it then, there
I
are.
think so.
Well, they're just implementing, they
Yeah.
probably haven't got that far
Yeah.
with it.
Well, you know what, it may work for them.
It may work for
Yeah,
them,
we
because
don't
they are, it's definitely different, and they're not really into fundraising, the funds just kinda come into them, so it does work differently, they love it, and I believe Cancer Services is using it. I was really impressed,
That's great.
so I did wanna bring that up, that's all I have, thank you.
Mr. Geisler.
I just got a call from the kid, and, I couldn't talk to him. I don't know what he wants, but that's Michigan Works, he's the chairman of Michigan Works. So I don't know yet what he wants.
Okay,
That's all I have.
that's it, all right. Anything from Commissioner Dory? Hope all is going well. Commissioner Smith.
Alright, so, January 31st, I had the 2024 annual meeting for Go Great Lakes Bay, at the Dow Center in Saginaw. And it was just, a real good look of like initiatives that they're working on to increase, tourism and having people stay in the Tri-Cities and, go out to eat and what, kind of a highlight of what we have in our different areas. And so they're working hard to bring people there, and the Midland County's numbers look pretty good from what they showed, as an increase. And then, on February 5th, I had the Northern Michigan Counties Association meeting up in Roscommon. And we finally had our holiday lunch up there, and so it was good to meet with other commissioners and chat with them, and kind of see how they do stuff in their counties in a less formal setting. And then on starting February 10th, I was at the NACO conference in Washington DC, the National Association of Counties, and so I was there from Saturday through Tuesday, and it was an amazing time to see how other counties are doing things, counties that varied in size from, I talked to one commissioner from North Dakota that his entire county has 3,000 people in it, to counties out in California and New York that have, more than 1 million people in them. And so it was a really good experience, and I was able to connect with, and there was an agency expo, and I was able to get information and meet with agencies from, HUD and SAMHSA and the IRS, and just get a lot of information from all of them. I brought back approximately 12,000 pamphlets. If anyone wants to read them, I can make them available to you guys in the office as
Did you
well.
have to check a second bag? That paper's heavy.
It was my entire carry-on, and I could barely lift it. So, yeah, but it was a really great experience, and I really appreciate the board and Bridget and everyone letting me go out to that and learn. So, and that's all I
Mr.
have.
Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Dorian.
I have no updates on boards and commissions.
All right.
I do have a question for Bridget, however, with regards to the Veterans Affairs Office.
Yes.
Is Bruce Lee still in the office, and is he helping plug some of the holes that must be correct with Rory's departure?
Yes, he is, Eric.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Commissioner Snyder.
So, in the road commission, they've been discussing the Lots Connector project, and, that's interesting. Across the county, we have a lot of McNatt right-of-ways that, the road commission they can open them at any time and utilize them. They have rules, around them, but this involves one of those things, and, some folks that live out there, and so they're, trying to be as transparent as possible and, presenting, their plans, but it's my understanding it's another way to get to I-75, and may open some traffic issues around Eastman Road Avenue. I had a virtual meeting, Clear Lakes Task Force, with some legislators and talking about the steps forward. That was all very positive. As you can imagine, I've been fielding a lot of phone calls and emails from my constituents with, the concern of the high assessments, rightfully so. They're, very high. But I really felt, good about pressing forward with the project. Went to the MBA annual meeting, and that's always a good time. We honor so many of our businesses in the community, and I like to hear about them. Some I have no idea that they even exist, so it was good for me to go. And I just wanted to give out a shout out to Dolores Corte. She was the Advocate of the Year, and much deserved there. They always pick good people, so, but that one is, close to me. So, and that's all I have to report on. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bone.
And I guess I would say, just touching, since I'm on 4 Lakes Task Force and been fairly involved with it, our meeting was 2 weeks ago. And, we are still, one of the things that was said at the end of the meeting is we are going to continue to work on getting access funding to bring this, to bring this ad down. That is being worked on. There's a lot of stuff that's not stopped, that's not something we're gonna lose vision on. And we're gonna do our best, and we're not putting that, the meeting's over, we forgot about it. We haven't forgot about it, so I will tell you, that's still being worked on. Dave and I talked about it yesterday. And, then the only other thing, I sat through a webinar or Zoom meeting with the construction on all the dams. Everything's going, they had to January, they had to stop for a while due to the weather, but they're back up and running, and things are going well, so. But the main thing is, the message I wanna get, we're not gonna forget about getting more funding.
All right. And for me, Parks and Recreation, on Wednesday the 3rd, and we did approve, I think Bridget had mentioned it, the right of way for Consumer Power to bring power to the project trailers and to the operations works at the Sanford Lake Dam. So it's good to see that work moving along, and, you know, as Mark was pointing out, that progress is being made on the construction works there. Let's see, the Michigan, I went to the MAC meeting at the end of the month, so that would have been Monday, the 22nd, I believe, going over the 29th, going over their legislative agenda, a lot of pushback from the townships on the state coming in with approvals for wind and solar projects, so not sure where all of that's going to be. There was a lot of discussion, it was quite interesting, about funding for 911 technology. When I thought about that, well, it's just a phone number, you know, but how it knows that there's somebody on the roadway that dials 911 and it gets it to the local 911 office. I mean, there's a miracle of technology in there, and they're just trying to figure out how do we fund the upgrades that are associated with all of that. So that was an interesting aha for me, because I really hadn't thought about it. So that work is moving on. And let's see, been working with Suzanne and our negotiations team with Road Patrol. That work is coming along. And I guess that's all I have to report.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Those in favor say aye.